Welcome to Gone Fishing, a show diving into the cybersecurity threats that surround our highly connected lives. Every human is different. Every person has unique vulnerabilities that expose them to potentially successful social engineering. On this show, we'll discuss human vulnerability and how it relates to unique individuals. I'm Connor Swalm, CEO of FinSecurity, and welcome to Gone Fishing. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Gone Fishing. I'm your host, Connor, the CEO at Fin, and I am joined once again by the president and CEO of CloudRadial, Jeff Farris. Jeff, how are you today?
Doing great, Connor. Appreciate it. How are you?
I'm doing well. I won't say amazing again. I'm doing well.
I'll add that to my vocabulary. I just got to calibrate, right? So great is really good. Like amazing is rare, right? But I could every day can be amazing, right?
So we had you on a previous episode talking about DNS security, and how MSPs should think about themselves and their clients and their role in keeping DNS secure. And today we're talking about automation. Automation seems to be a huge buzzword. I mean, we just got back from IT Nation, and you were there as well. And it seemed like everyone's talking about automation. There's not only just more companies talking about automation, there's actually automation companies that just do automations. So this brings me to a question that I get all the time, and I'd love to ask you is, what should be automated in an MSP's life or in the service delivery, however you'd like to define that?
Well, everything, right? I mean, that's a simple answer, but the simple answer is everything. I mean, in the sense that automations are the backbone of the MSP space, right? I mean, the RMM rolled out and that automated the data collection from a workstation and allowed basically some automation to be applied to the workstation, right? So, I mean, the RMM is that backbone. Automation is the backbone of the industry. And as it's progressed, additional things have been automated to make, technicians, service staff more efficient along the way. Now, I'm not sure why, but somewhere along the line, that automation stopped. And, PSAs, the ConnectWise and Autotask of the world, they introduced workflows, and we got focused on automating some things on the technical side. But then for some reason we stopped. And with CloudRadial, when we introduced that product 5 years ago, we started focusing on connecting the client of an MSP directly to the tech stack. Because when you do that, you can really start automating to the nth degree, right? So if I have to submit a ticket to have an MSP perform a task that maybe is half automated or mostly automated, I still have a ticket that goes to that MSP, right? I still have a step in there that requires labor. When you connect automations directly to end users, when you connect your stack as an MSP directly to an end user, now what you have is almost total automation, right? If I need to provision a piece of software and the user asks for it and it's automatically provisioned without an MSP involved, that's automation, right? That's connected directly to the stack. If as a user, I can order something and have that order ready to go on the MSP side, ready to purchase and deliver, that's about as close to automation as you can get in today's current environment with the MSP system. Now, if we can connect that stack up, we can take a lot of labor out of that, and we can take automations all the way down. And what's interesting is CloudRadial has been very good about provisioning automations on the client side. So we've got our own tools for automations. We can integrate with Roost and Pia and other automation tools that are out there. Webhooks, we can drive a lot of automation to connect users directly to the tech stack. And when you do that, you get the benefits like an Amazon does, right? If you think about Amazon, we were just talking, in a previous episode about, the MSP being the UPS, right? Well, if you think about UPS is one part of Amazon's stack, right? UPS, FedEx, USPS, those are all parts of Amazon stack, as are their servers, as are their tax calculations and all kinds of other tools they use. And when you order something from Amazon, you're touching multiple pieces of the Amazon stack in a way that is thoroughly automated. There is no person on the other end of Amazon except the guy that delivers it sitting there trying to connect systems together, right? They don't take your order from the web. They don't type it into the best routing delivery system. They don't take and type in your updates as your package is moved through the chain. Everything's automated. And we see with Amazon and AT&T and almost everything else that we deal with on a daily basis as consumers on the web is 100% automated or nearly 100% automated. And so labor's only used if it's the only resource that's available that can solve that problem, like a delivery of a package, right? Or to basically work around a system that's failed, right? So if we order something and it's not delivered, a lot of times we can use automation or we use a person to go do that. But progressively now it's also handled by more AI as well, which is another form of automation, right? So automation, I think, is the reason MSPs exist. And it's also the reason that MSPs are getting ready to go through a major change in the way that they interact with their clients.
You'd mentioned in there that if we can connect everything the end user's doing to, if we can give them access to the automation, if we can connect the end user to all those systems, that much more can be automated. There's a lot that we could continue doing. Are there any downsides in your mind to doing that, or any risks to connecting end users to all of those systems in such a way that they can access them?
Not if it's done correctly. I mean, clearly you don't want to give them access rights to everything. So, for example, with our Scout DNS integration, users can add, block sites, unblock sites. They can do that directly because we connected that user directly to the Scout DNS stack of that MSP, right? And that's a very powerful way to take that technician out of the way. So before, a technician would have to process that ticket to block or unblock a site. They would have to process a request for a report to see which sites were blocked. They'd have to process the report to see which users were accessing that site. And if all of that stuff can be provided in an automated way back to the end user, then that's automation, right? I mean, that's automation kind of at the best, because the user, the MSP is protecting their clients, but the clients are also able to see and interact with the stack directly in a way that's doesn't interfere with the MSP doing their job of keeping that client safe.
Got it. Is there anything that you think should not be automated? Now, I always go back to basically what you had just said, which is for something that you need a human currently to fill, such as delivering a package, like the last mile delivery. We don't have drones flying everywhere just yet. I go to like maintaining relationships. There's a lot you can do in terms of automating the data collection, the aggregation, and then even any of the sentiments or conclusions that you should attempt to draw from what that data is trying to say. But when it comes to having a conversation with your client, conducting a QBR is like a pedantic example that I could think of right now. Are there other things like that I don't want to say they can't be automated, but should they be automated?
So this is really interesting. So in talking to a large number of end users and then talking to MSPs, what was interesting about it is the MSPs thinks the relationship is better than it is. And so if you're sitting in front of a client for an hour talking about what you did for them over the last 3 months or 6 months, the MSP is going to come away from that going, I have a relationship with that client. That client really likes me because they listened to me for an hour. If you talk to the client about that, they're going to say, I have no relationship with that MSP. I don't understand what he said. He didn't ask me any questions about myself, right? He just told me about himself. And he asked for a lot of things that I can tell he's fishing for the next order to do the next thing. So there's a big disconnect in this thing that the more you talk to a client, the better relationship you have, right? And what's fascinating to me is if you can automate as much as possible, then what you do is you free that MSP to go back and listen more because they don't need to talk. If the reports are covered like in our portal and through CloudRadial, if the reports are delivered in CloudRadial, They don't need to tell the client about those reports. If things are happening automatically in the portal, they don't need to tell them about ticket volume because things are being resolved, right? The client wants, if you think about any relationships, what I like about this webinar, I like to talk about myself, right? I like to talk about what we're doing. Everybody's like that. And your clients are most like that. And when you sit down with a client and you ask them about their business, about where they want to go, about what their big concerns are, what keeps them up at night, what they would do different if they started their business again, what their exit strategy is. Those are things that the client wants to talk about. And in talking to the MSP about, the MSP will learn where to take that business next with that client, right? If the MSP is busy talking about himself or herself, it's really not that interesting to the client. And so you indulge in human behavior. It's a dating technique, right? You let them talk about themselves. And from that talk, you derive those insights. And that's a relationship, right? That's a relationship that the end user, the client, will appreciate and want to proceed with.
A friend of mine I had on the podcast, Alex Farley, who founded and then sold Lifecycle Insights, and he always said something, and it always stuck with me because it was funny, is if you meet your client and your entire conversation is, look how many backups I back up, look how many firewalls I firewalled, look how many DNSs I DNS'd, it's like, client doesn't really care about all that. They expect you to do all of those things anyway. What they want you to do is to help transform their business. And so it's not that you're backing up backups. It's you're providing business continuity in the event that X, Y, and Z event happens, and you can just go back to yesterday and not lose a day's worth of data. It's like a really interesting storytelling perspective. It's don't sell the thing that you do, sell the transformation to the business, which is interesting.
Alex and I have had some interesting discussions because for a long time, and we still do, we talk about killing the QBR, right? Because we hate the QBRs, but it's not really about talking. It's not the QBR we hate. It's the content of the QBRs we hate, right? We believe that MSPs should be talking to their clients on a regular basis, but I said that's wrong. They should be listening to their clients on a regular basis, right? Most QBRs as they exist today are listening or talking to the clients on a regular basis, but not listening, right? I've talked to many MSPs like, oh, our format's really good. We have 45 minutes where we present, and then we have 15 minutes where they can ask questions about the presentation, right? That's not a listening QBR, right? That's not understanding where that business is going. That's helping the client understand what you did, right?
Yeah.
And a business review should be forward focused, not prior focused, not history focused. And to Alex's point, I mean, if Alex and I would actually sit down and talk more, we'd agree that the outcome is exactly the same, right? What we're trying to do at all steps is make sure the MSP is in a position to listen rather than just talk.
Right. For MSPs that want to start implementing automation, where should they start? What would be the ripest fruits, so to speak, for them to pick off the tree?
So there's lots of places to start. Pia, Roost, and there's more automation tools coming on the market all the time. Those are great places to start for automating the back-end side. But for anything that involves the end user, CloudRadial is really about the only choice out there that ties together all these different tools in a way that allows automation at the client side. And again, there's so many tasks. And again, when you're managing cloud infrastructure, there's a lot of things that need to be automated just to make the technician more efficient and more consistent. Because again, it's not only about efficiency that you're trying to build, it's consistency and precision that you're trying to build as well through automations. But from a client perspective, what you want to do is marry that client directly to your stack as an MSP and try to automate as much of that as possible. Again, ideally, like Amazon, people are only coming to you to talk when they need something out of bounds, right? And those things have a lot of value too. But if you're just going to do the routine things, if you just have your password, you just need a password reset, or you just need to order another laptop for an employee, or you just need to install a piece of software or order another Office 365 license. Again, if you can streamline that and make that a 1 minute or a 30-second interaction with the client, that's something the client's going to appreciate, right? That's something the client's going to appreciate more than having to go round and round with a ticket, hoping that it gets addressed over the weekend, right?
Got it. That makes a ton of sense. For folks who wanted to learn more about you or more about CloudRadial, where would you suggest they go?
Visit us at cloudradial.com. And again, we've got a lot of different things we cover in the product. Automation's one piece of that. I mean, CloudRadial is that unified client portal that brings it all together for an MSP. And but again, to start automating that interaction, to start engaging clients in a better way, I mean, you started our website with a demo. That's the best way to do it.
Awesome. For folks who are watching or folks who are listening, we'll have links to all of that in the show notes so you can take a look and connect with Jeff and connect with CloudRadial. Jeff, this was a blast chatting with you. Thanks for hopping on another episode and chatting with us. And I hope you had a great time as well.
I have, Connor. Thanks. And again, I love talking about myself, love talking about my company. So just like MSP clients, this has been a perfect opportunity. Thanks very much.
Anytime. Glad to offer it to you, and glad to be here. For folks who have been listening or watching, thanks for sticking around and hanging out with us. And we will be sure to see you on the next episode. Thanks so much for tuning in to Gone Fishing. If you want to find out more about high-quality security awareness training campaigns, how to launch them in ways that actually engage employees to change their habits, then check us out, FinSecurity, at finsec.io. That's PHINSEC.io, or click all of the wonderful links in our show notes. Thanks for fishing with me today, and we'll see you next time.